So we're going to put the clutch back in the 720. I recently had the belt pulley off to get the operating sleeve pin fixed. I also put in new operating bolts, dogs and toggles in the clutch, and greased everything. So if you want to watch a video on that, we've got one on the channel. Kind of a goat rodeo because I didn't know what I was doing. So best way to describe it is essentially a teenage boy on prom night. Didn't know what he was doing, but he was doing it, and we figured it out as we went. So now we're just putting everything back together. First things first is this clutch facing. It's grooved in here in the belt pulley, so just slide that in. Next, we're going to put the clutch driver back on. And with the 20 series and 30 series, there's no specific way to put this clutch driver back on. You'll notice with some of the first numbered series and the letter series, they have a V mark marked on the clutch driver and the crankshaft. And that's how you have to do it, because they actually did a counterbalance. But in the 20 series and 30 series, there was no counterbalance. So you can just put that on however. And then we'll stick the bolt in the end of the crankshaft here. We're going to tighten that down. And you want to make sure that's good and tight. So once we get it snugged up by hand, we'll use a breaker bar and a 1 1/8 inch socket to tighten that down. And I'm going to tighten it to the point where the engine starts to move with the crankshaft. Just like that. And then I'm going to use a hammer to tap on the back of the breaker bar just to get it a little bit tighter. Just want to ensure that that is on there nice and tight. That ought to do. Then we'll start putting the clutch facings and things in like that. So here's one of our clutch facings, again inspected for any wear. These are fairly new components. And these are going to line up on the pins. Some people make the mistake and they line these up on the operating bolts. That's not the case. So make sure you line these up on the pins. And the clutch disc. Another clutch facing. Disc. And depending on what tractor you're working on, this assembly is going to be different. This is on the 70, 720, 730. Some of the smaller tractors like a B or a 50, they're going to have less components in here. Now last but not least is the pressure plate here with the springs on it. And this does have another clutch facing inside. It's best to just put that in. And you'll see here where you can see where the nuts wore it out a little bit. That's going to line up with your operating bolts. That's going to line up with your pins. And then you'll see some indentations in your belt pulley where these springs need to line up. Sometimes this is kind of a bugger to get lined up with the pins and bolts and everything. There we go. And once that's on, make sure you're using the beveled washers along with your castle nuts. And the best way to describe it is you're kind of concave. You want to put the flat portion of the washer towards the tractor, and you'll want to put some pressure in to allow room for it. And then you put your castle nuts on. And you'll have to apply some pressure to get those on. All right, so we got those on. Next thing we need to do is start to make adjustments to the clutch to get it lined up properly. So we'll make another video on that.